What happens when a waitress calls out a customer for tipping too little without realizing he owns the place? 7 years ago, Spencer Ashford bought a small chain of restaurants from a retiring chef. There were 6 in total, spread across 2 states. Fast casual dining, nothing fancy. Burgers, salads, pancakes, and coffee. The kind of place where locals came 3 times a week and servers memorized faces. He kept the name, updated the branding, and expanded the menu. Business grew, but recently something started to feel off. Spencer sat at his downtown office, flipping through customer feedback reports. He'd noticed a shift. Reviews from one location store 4 were dropping hard. Rude staff, cold food, felt judged phrases that made his teeth clench. But when he brought it up with the district manager, he got the same answer twice. "They're just picky customers, Spencer. The staff there has it handled." He didn't buy it. He hadn't visited store 4 in over 4 years. It was in a busy area near a college, high turnover, lots of foot traffic. He figured it was time to stop relying on reports. He wanted to see it himself raw, unfiltered. So he shaved his beard, dyed his hair a few shades darker, and stuck in brown contacts. He wore a hoodie, jeans, and an old pair of sneakers. Then he walked into store 4 as just another face in the lunch crowd. No one recognized him. The last time he'd visited, there had been an entirely different crew. That was part of the problem. A waitress in her late 20s with red lipstick and a stiff ponytail greeted him with a forced smile. Her name tag read Brielle. "Table for 1, she asked flatly. "Yeah," Spencer said, keeping his voice relaxed. She led him to a high top near the back without saying much else. The restaurant was half full. A couple college kids were laughing in one corner, an older man reading a newspaper at the bar. A young busboy with messy hair hustled past them with a tray full of dirty dishes. Brielle returned after a few minutes, tapping her pen against the notepad. "You ready to order?" "Yeah, I'll take the chicken sandwich. Water's fine." She scribbled something down and walked off. He kept quiet, watching. She spent more time chatting with the cook behind the counter than checking on tables. When she did speak to customers, it was quick, like she was doing them a favor. He clocked another server, tall, nervous energy, maybe in her early 20s, trying to handle 4 tables on her own. She looked overwhelmed, but no one helped her. Spencer noticed the busboy again. He was quick and respectful, cleared plates fast, said thank you when people moved their chairs to let him pass. He made a mental note to learn his name later. His food came out lukewarm. Brielle didn't ask how it was, didn't refill his water. Didn't check in once after dropping the plate. Still, when the bill came $12, even he left a $3 tip. He stood to leave, pulling his hoodie back up. That's when it happened. Brielle walked by, glanced at the receipt, and scoffed loud enough for the nearby table to hear. "Wow. $3, she said, not even looking at him. "Guess some people just don't understand how tipping works." Spencer turned slowly. "Excuse me," she didn't back down. "You sat here for 40 minutes. I'm on my feet all day and you leave me $3. That's a joke." He stared at her. A few heads turned. The college kids stopped laughing. The air got tight. "I didn't think the service was worth more," he said calmly. Brielle crossed her arms. "Then maybe don't eat out if you can't afford to tip right," and with that she walked off. Spencer stood there in silence, his hands in his pockets. He wasn't angry, not yet. He was processing. He stepped outside and leaned against the brick wall, watching people pass by. A part of him wondered if he was being too sensitive. Maybe it was just a bad day, maybe she was stressed. But then he remembered the reviews. The same tone, same arrogance. This wasn't a one-off. He walked back in. This time he didn't sit. He walked straight to the hostess stand and asked to speak to the manager. A short man with a goatee arrived a minute later. "Hey, I'm Dave." "Everything all right? Do you have a minute?" Spencer asked. Dave led him to a side booth. "Sure, what's going on?" "I've been visiting some of the stores," Spencer said. "Just checking in low-key. Today I came here. I've owned this chain for 7 years. I'm Spencer Ashford." Dave blinked. "Wait, you're Spencer?" "Yeah," he said. "I bought the company in 2017. You and I haven't met. I usually work through district. I came in today dressed down because I wanted to see this place without anyone putting on a show." Dave's face turned pale. Spencer continued, "Your staff didn't recognize me, which is fine. But your waitress Brielle publicly shamed me for tipping what I felt was fair." She didn't greet me properly, didn't check in, didn't thank me, then insulted me loud enough for other customers to hear. Dave stammered, I'm sorry, I had no idea. I believe you, Spencer said, but this store has been getting complaints for months, and now I've seen why. Dave leaned forward. Listen, I've been short-staffed. 2 servers quit last month, 1 transferred. I've been trying to hire, but no one stays. And Brielle, she's been here the longest. She kind of runs the floor, Spencer nodded. Then that's part of the problem. He stood. I'm coming back tomorrow. As myself, I want to talk to everyone, and I want to meet the busboy. He's the only one I saw today who looked like he gave a damn. Dave looked like he wanted to say something else, but didn't. Spencer left. He walked 2 blocks to his car, sat behind the wheel, and stared through the windshield. He didn't like doing surprises. But something deep in his gut told him this store had been allowed to rot from the inside. And tomorrow, he was going to find out just how deep it went. Spencer arrived just before opening the next morning, dressed sharp in a navy button-down and slacks. No hoodie, no disguise. He walked through the glass doors with a quiet certainty, the kind that didn't need to announce itself. The air inside still smelled faintly of bleach and brewed coffee. Chairs were down, music low. The manager, Dave, spotted him from behind the counter and froze mid-pour with a pot of decaf in one hand. Morning, Spencer said, adjusting his watch as he stepped closer. Dave set the pot down a little too fast. Hey, you, came early. I wanted to catch the staff before the rush. Let's gather everyone. Dave hesitated, then nodded and disappeared into the back. Over the next few minutes, employees trickled out to the dining area one by one. A cook with flour on his apron leaned against the prep counter. A young hostess rubbed sleep from her eyes. The server, with nervous energy from the day before, stood near the drink station, arms folded tight. She offered Spencer a tentative nod. He returned it. Brielle walked in last, her ponytail freshly redone, lipstick darker than yesterday. She didn't recognize him at first. But her posture shifted when she saw everyone else facing him. Spencer let a few beats pass before speaking. My name is Spencer Ashford. I own this company. The silence was immediate and unbroken. The only sound came from the ice machine cycling. I visited this store yesterday as a regular customer. I came in alone, sat in the back, and ordered a chicken sandwich. I left a standard tip. What followed was unacceptable. Brielle's jaw tightened. Her eyes darted toward Dave, who didn't meet her gaze. Spencer didn't look at her directly. I'm not here to humiliate anyone. I'm here because this location has been sliding for a while and no one's fixed it. Yesterday confirmed why. The staff shifted uncomfortably. One of the cooks glanced at the floor. I'm going to be spending the full day here. Not in an office, not in the back. On the floor, I want to see how this place really runs. I want to talk to all of you individually, not to catch anyone out. I need to understand what's broken. He paused. And I'd like to start with the busser. What's your name? The young man with the messy hair stepped forward, drying his hands on a towel clipped to his belt loop. Illy, he said. I started back in March. Spencer gestured toward a booth near the front. Let's talk. They slid into opposite sides. Illy sat upright, alert but not tense. You move fast, Spencer said. I noticed that yesterday. Illy gave a small nod. I try to keep up. Gets busy real quick if you fall behind. You always this focused. There was a flicker of something in Illy's face, not pride, more like resolve. My mom worked 2 jobs when I was growing up. Didn't matter if she was tired, she still showed up. I figure I should too. Spencer studied him. You ever want to move up? Illy hesitated. I've mentioned it, said I'd be down to host or help with prep, but I don't think Dave thinks I'm ready yet. Did he say why? No. Just says we're not hiring for that right now. But I see new people come in all the time. Spencer leaned back, filing that away. You like working here? I like the work. I like when it's busy, but it's kinda tense sometimes. Like people are waiting for someone to mess up. He didn't say any names. He didn't have to. Spencer thanked him and let him go. Over the next hour, he spoke to the rest of the staff one by one. The hostess, Kayla, was only 18 and had started 2 weeks ago. No one trained her. She was told to just smile and seat people. The cook, Marcus, had been there the longest, nearly 4 years. He said the back was always short-staffed, and when tickets piled up, servers blamed the kitchen first. By late morning, the picture was clear. There was no leadership, just survival. Spencer waited until the lunch crowd started trickling in before pulling Brielle aside. She followed him to the patio without a word. They stood under the awning, the air thick with early summer heat and the hum of traffic nearby. "You know who I am now," Spencer said. "So let's skip the part where we pretend yesterday didn't happen." She crossed her arms. "I thought you were just some guy trying to cheap out. I didn't mean anything personal." "That's not how it came across." She looked away. "People leave garbage tips all the time. Then we get blamed when we're short on hours or don't hit metrics. So you insult them." She flinched at that, just slightly. "I've been here 2 years. I've trained half the people that come through. I cover shifts when no one shows. I deal with customers who snap their fingers at me or ask if I'm new every time I bring a drink. So yeah, maybe I've got an edge, but I'm not the problem here." Spencer didn't react. He let the words sit in the air. "Then what is?" he asked. She hesitated. "We don't have a system. Dave disappears half the time. New hires quit in a week, and when things go wrong, guess who gets blamed first? Us, the front. I've had 1 raise in 2 years. You think I'm rude? Try being ignored for 24 months straight." There it was. The resentment, not just toward customers. Toward the company, toward him. "I get it," Spencer said. "You're frustrated. But the problem is that frustration is bleeding into how you treat people, and now you've made this store feel unwelcome. That's not opinion, that's data. We've lost regulars. Reviews have tanked. And I've watched it with my own eyes." Her jaw moved slightly, like she wanted to argue, but didn't. "You think you've carried this place," Spencer said, "but you've made it harder for the people around you. People like Ali, who shows up, works hard, and still can't get a shot because no one's paying attention." Brielle looked down at the ground. For the first time, there was no defense. "I'm not here to fire you," he said. "I came to understand what's broken, but now that I've seen it, I will fix it." "That includes who leads on the floor." She nodded once. Not in agreement, just acknowledgement. Spencer stepped back inside, the noise of the lunch rush rising. He saw Ali wiping down a table without being asked. Kayla was helping an elderly couple to their seats, clearly nervous but trying. Marcus was calling for someone to run food. He walked over to Dave near the drink station. "Starting tomorrow," Spencer said. "Ellie's shadowing as host. Kayla gets proper training. And you'll have a regional lead here for the next month to oversee operations." Dave opened his mouth, but Spencer continued. "I'll be here through the weekend. After that, we're making changes. No more top-down excuses. If someone's dragging this place down, they're out. No matter how long they've been here." Dave nodded slowly. "Understood." Spencer didn't wait for a response. He stepped onto the floor, grabbed a stack of menus, and started seating people himself. He wasn't watching anymore. He was taking back control. By Friday afternoon, Spencer had spent nearly 60 hours inside Store 4. He hadn't just watched, he'd engaged. Ran food, greeted guests, helped Marcus prep onions in the back when the lunch rush swamped the line. He took notes on every shift, every pattern. The deeper he got, the more the foundation cracked under scrutiny. Thursday's dinner service revealed that Brielle frequently adjusted seating assignments to avoid high-effort tables. Spencer noticed she consistently passed families with small children to the newer servers, especially Kayla, still visibly learning. When Spencer asked her directly about it that evening, she said nothing, just picked up her tray and walked off. He didn't chase her. By Friday, the tension had settled into something quieter. Spencer wasn't an outsider anymore. Staff greeted him with cautious respect, not friendliness, something closer to recognition. They understood now that he wasn't visiting. He was intervening. It was late afternoon when Spencer asked Dave to meet him in the office. The room was small, cluttered with outdated calendars and menus from discontinued promotions. A broken printer sat on the floor near the wall. Spencer stood near the doorway while Dave sat behind the desk, arms crossed loosely. "You've been here a while," Spencer said. "Longer than anyone else at this location." "Yeah," Dave said, "since right before the pandemic. You've seen turnover, operational gaps, training inconsistencies. You had the authority to address all of it. Why didn't you?" Dave looked down, hands resting on the desk. "I kept thinking it would get better, that once we got through the rough patches, things would stabilize. That didn't happen." "No," Dave admitted. "It didn't." Spencer didn't raise his voice. "You've got a floor lead who intimidates new hires. a cook running double shifts because you can't keep a second-line guy, and a busser doing more to keep the place clean than your own management team. You've got customers walking out because no one checks on them after their food hits the table. Dave tapped his fingers lightly on the wood. I wasn't trying to ignore it. I just didn't have the backup. We've been short on resources. You didn't ask, Spencer said. Not once. I checked. Dave went quiet. I'm not looking for a scapegoat, Spencer continued, but I need to know if you're capable of leading this store forward, not just holding a position. Leading. I don't know, Dave said quietly. Spencer nodded once. That was the most honest thing he'd heard from him all week. I'll be assigning a new general manager. You'll transition out over the next 2 weeks. After that, we'll find a role that fits better off the floor. Dave didn't argue. He just nodded again, slower this time. Not in defeat, but in understanding, Spencer left the office and walked out to the dining area. It was the lull between lunch and dinner. Only a few booths were occupied. Illy was restocking napkins at the drink station. Spencer waved him over. You got a second? Spencer asked. Of course. Spencer led him to a booth by the window. I've been watching you all week, Spencer said. You've got discipline, you show up early, you don't cut corners, you do more than what's expected without being asked. Illy looked unsure how to respond. I've already spoken to the regional lead. Starting next week, you'll be added to the rotation as a junior shift assistant. We'll cover training. You'll still handle your usual tasks, but you'll also start learning how to manage the floor. If that goes well, we'll talk about a full-time leadership role by the end of the quarter. Illy blinked. Seriously, Spencer nodded. You've earned it. A pause. I didn't think anyone noticed, Illy said. I did. Spencer stood, offering a hand. Illy shook it, still stunned. As dinner hour approached, Spencer remained on the floor. Customers filtered in steadily. For once, the atmosphere felt balanced. Kayla moved with more confidence, taking orders without glancing nervously toward the kitchen. Marcus had help on the line, a loaner from another store for the weekend, and the food came out faster. Even the music, usually too low or too loud, was set just right. Spencer noticed Brielle hadn't shown up yet. Her shift started 20 minutes ago. He waited another 10 before stepping into the back hallway. Her schedule for the evening was written in red ink on the clipboard by the breakroom door. She was supposed to be here until close. He pulled out his phone to call Dave, then stopped himself. She walked through the rear entrance 5 minutes later, uniform wrinkled, expression unreadable. You're late, Spencer said. She nodded. I know, he waited. I almost didn't come, she added. Why? I figured it was just a matter of time. That I'd walk in and you'd ask for my keys. Spencer leaned against the doorframe. I'm not looking to fire anyone who can still add value, he said. But the way you've been operating that ends tonight. Brielle exhaled slowly. You think I don't know I've been difficult? That I haven't driven people away. I've done everything wrong, I know that, but I didn't start out that way. Most people don't. She looked at the floor for a long moment. I used to care about this place. I stayed longer than anyone else. Covered shifts when people quit midweek. I burned out. Then I got bitter, but it wasn't always like that. Spencer didn't interrupt. I figured if no one was going to support me, I'd look out for myself. That turned into pushing people out, less competition, fewer people to clean up after. He folded his arms. So what do you want now? I want to fix it. Why? Because I don't want to be the person people whisper about when I leave the room. I want to be someone people are glad showed up. She didn't sound rehearsed. She sounded tired, but real. You'll finish your shift tonight, Spencer said. But starting tomorrow, you're off the floor. You'll work directly with the regional lead for 2 weeks. If I see consistent effort, we'll consider a revised role. Not as a lead, not yet, but something that gives you a clean slate. She nodded once firmly. Spencer stepped aside and let her pass. He returned to the dining area and stood quietly near the drink station, watching things unfold. No one noticed him, not really. They were too busy doing the work, and for once it looked like a team, no one snapping, no one checking out mid-shift, just rhythm. He didn't feel pride. He felt clarity. This was what leadership looked like, not sitting in an office, waiting for reports to land, but standing in the middle of the noise, seeing who showed up when it counted. He stayed until close. Helped stack chairs, wiped down tabletops, and walked out with the last group. No speeches. No applause, just the quiet knowledge that something had shifted finally in the right direction. The following Monday, Spencer returned to store 4 wearing a gray zip-up and an old baseball cap pulled low, not as a disguise but to blend in without drawing attention. He didn't need to assert his presence anymore. The store had been turned over. The difference wasn't loud, it was structural. The kind of change that didn't shout but held. Inside, the pace was measured. No one hovered, no one barked. A rhythm was starting to take hold. He watched Kayla help a couple navigate the digital menu with a patience she hadn't shown before. Ellie stood behind the host stand, not just greeting guests but directing flow with quiet efficiency. His posture had changed, shoulders back, voice even. He looked like someone who had finally been given permission to lead. Spencer waited until the lunch crowd settled, then stepped outside. Across the street, the regional lead, a woman named Carla, approached with a clipboard in one hand and iced tea in the other. "You see it too?" she asked, nodding toward the storefront. "I do. 3 days in and we're already seeing fewer comps, fewer walkouts. Morale's cautious, but it's there." Spencer took a moment before responding. "How's Brielle?" "She's on time. She's doing the training modules without complaint, quiet but focused. She asked me this morning if she could shadow the shift reports next week." He looked over at her through the window. She was seated in the far corner of the dining area, reviewing a printed checklist with a yellow highlighter in hand. "Think she's serious about turning it around?" he asked. "I think she's figuring out there's a difference between running a shift and running a team." Spencer nodded, then turned slightly toward her. "She ever say why she stayed as long as she did?" Carla sipped her drink. She mentioned her brother, said she helped raise him after their mom passed. Paid most of his tuition last year, said the tips here kept things stable. She didn't want to start over somewhere new. That part hadn't come up before. It reframed some things, but it didn't excuse them. Spencer didn't believe in rewriting people's behavior to fit a softer story. What mattered was what they did with their second chance. Inside, Marcus leaned over the counter to call out an order, only to see Ellie already walking it to table 7. The synergy was clear, small, but growing. Spencer stepped back across the street and entered through the side door. Carla stayed behind, giving him space. Near the walk-in, he found Dave boxing up his last few personal items. A pair of headphones, a chipped mug, and a stack of old shift logs sat in a cardboard box on the edge of the prep table. "You all set?" Spencer asked. Dave gave a single nod. "Yeah." "Carla's got everything she needs. I left her the vendor contacts, the old repair ticket file, and the draft schedule through next Friday." Spencer leaned against the counter. "You land on what you want to do next, thinking about going back into training, not just here, more regional." "I was good at onboarding before things got away from me. You still can be, just not in a role where you disappear into routine." Dave looked up, eyes clearer than they'd been in days. "I appreciate you not walking me out. You didn't sabotage the place, you just stopped steering it." "There's a difference." Dave nodded a final time, then lifted the box and walked out without fanfare. Spencer stayed behind and watched the kitchen for a few minutes. Marcus was showing a new line higher how to rotate the grill pans to keep the sear consistent. No raised voice. Just steady instruction. He stepped out to the main floor as the evening rush began. Brielle caught his eye from across the room and approached, not hesitating like before. "I'm off the floor again today," she said. "Carla's got me sitting in on the close-out process tonight. That's a good start." She hesitated, then spoke again. "I didn't expect to still be here." "I didn't expect you to want to be." She adjusted the sleeve of her shirt. "I don't want to be who I was here." That version stopped caring because it felt like no one else was showing up. "But I see now some people were. I just didn't make space for them." Spencer didn't offer approval. He didn't need to. Instead, he asked, "What are you learning from Carla?" That leadership's not about being the loudest. It's about making sure the quiet ones don't get drowned out. He held her gaze. "You think you're ready to be part of a team again?" "I think I'm ready to listen." Spencer nodded once and stepped away. Later that evening, the restaurant settled into its final hour. Customers trickled out in 2s and 3s. Someone refilled the salt shakers without being asked. The music volume dropped slightly, intentional, not automated. Spencer walked to the front and took a seat at a booth near the window. Not to be served, just to observe. Illy passed by with a breaker list and paused when he saw him. "You need anything before we lock up?" "No, I'm good, just watching the close." Illy hesitated, then sat across from him without asking, a quiet act but confident. "I used to think people at the top didn't know what happened down here," he said. "Sometimes they don't," Spencer replied. "That's why they have to come back and look." "I'm glad you did." Spencer looked past him toward the polished counter and the balanced floor. "So am I." Illy stood up again. "We'll be ready next time you come in, even if you're not wearing a hoodie." Spencer let out a breath that wasn't quite a laugh but close. "I'll hold you to that." When the lights dimmed and the chairs were turned, Spencer walked out with the last staff member. No one lingered for praise. They just locked up, nodded goodnight, and split in different directions on foot, by bus, or toward the back lot. Spencer stood for a moment on the sidewalk, staring at the signage of his own company above the glass doors. The letters were the same, the logo unchanged. But the people inside were different now, because he'd shown up. And more importantly, because they had decided it mattered again. He turned and walked toward his car, keys loose in one hand. Not because something had ended, but because something else had finally started right.